Dr. Pete, I'm psyched to get into it today. Today we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite topic. We're going to talk about marketing and lead generation, and we're going to be sharing some insights, some structure, some constructs that'll help these docs not only get their head around this game of lead generation.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business, so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
What's up, Remarkables? Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
Hey, we are psyched, as always, to be with our brothers and sisters. So happy that you guys are following the show, and it's extraordinary. We are psyched to see the results that we've been getting and the feedback that we've been getting. Our average listener is listening more than 90 minutes a month. We just so appreciate that. What a huge compliment. Dr. Pete, I don't know, I guess we're doing something right, and I think that means that we're adding value and helping these people help more people. So, man, so good to be serving our purpose through something as awesome as this podcast. So if I'm talking to you right now and you're a regular listener and you're getting a lot of value from this, we ask that you think of another DC that you know who needs this information, that needs this message, needs this camaraderie, right? Needs this support. We're all in this together, and man, it would be a huge honor if you would share the show. So, Dr. Pete, I'm psyched to get into it today. Today, we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite topic. We're going to talk about marketing and lead generation, and we're going to be sharing some insights, some structure, some constructs that'll help these docs not only get their head around this game of lead generation, but also to help their team get clarity around their roles in doing it, and how can we all be more efficient and effective in lead generation?
Yeah, this is such an important conversation for us to have. So I can't think of a more important time. We've got an immersion coming up here soon as well. We're going to be digging deep into the elements of attraction, both in the US and Australia for our live events. If you are not registered for that event and you're interested in coming, you can go to theremarkablepractice.com/events, and you can register there, learn more about that for both US and Australia. So you can find the dates and all the details there. But again, we know the value of this. We will literally spend 2 days together just hammering and digging deep into this. And you know, we'll more than scratch the surface, but we're going to just get in, and but there's going to be even more layers that are going to of depth there. So even today on this episode, I know that we can more kind of paint a picture. We're going to do that for you, and I think it's going to be incredibly valuable for you. And we actually have a gift for you. There's going to be there's an image that we use in the Remarkable Practice that we share with our clients, but we're going to share that with you today, so you'll be able to get that remarkable business model graphic from us here. So make sure you check the show notes for that. But Dr. Stephen, this really came out of, I think, a lot of just conversations that we are having all the time about understanding the journey of a person coming into your practice. And then once they're in your practice, staying in your practice, and then all of that. So the conversation we want to have is about, prospects, leads, and sales. We're talking about the journey from somebody coming from, somewhere in the ether, somewhere in the community, somewhere out there. All of a sudden, this person becomes a prospect, and what does that mean? We're gonna share with you how we would define that and how we organize this, and why we think it's intelligent to do it this way, because it simplifies it for you and it creates focus for you and your team. What does that look like for someone to come into your community, become a prospect, for a prospect to become a lead, for a lead to become a sale? Like, what does that actually look like, and how does that happen intelligently in your business and predictably and consistently? That's what we want to press into today, because it's just such an important part of our businesses, and as CEOs, we have to take ownership on making sure that this is happening. So, Dr. Stephen, really looking forward to being able to have this conversation now.
So, Dr. Pete, my moniker is I'm the systems guy, which is just really a nice way of saying I'm the OCD DC, right? Like, everything has to be systematized. It has to be in a structure. And it's not just because I'm a recovering control freak perfectionist, but I covet impact, and I want to be able to reach more people, and that means through all of our listeners, right? So in order for us to do that, we've got to be able to have clarity ourselves, and we've got to be able to convey that clarity into our team so we can recruit them and mobilize them into helping us on this mission, right? So it's not about being a laborer, it's about being a leader, and great leaders are great communicators, right? So we've got to be able to communicate into our team so that they have clarity, right? So they have clarity around exactly what does a win look like, what's the process that takes us to that win, and what is their role specifically in that process. Remember, clarity is your greatest accelerator, right? And when we can give people clarity on what to focus on, focus is what makes the difference between busyness and productivity. So all of these one-liners that you hear, they're not just Instagram memes, right? These are the laws of the jungle. And nowhere does this become more obvious or painful if it's not done right than in this marketing space, right? So ultimately what we're going to bring to you today is a construct with some systems and terminology so that you can communicate this really clearly and efficiently and therefore effectively with your team so you can recruit them and mobilize them into the mission.
Yeah, so Dr. Stephen, it's a flow, right? So there's a flow to this, and one of the things we love is flow and flow charts, and there's a flow. So what we want to do is for your team and for yourself is to make sure we do there's a few things we want to do. Is we want to create categories. We want to categorize the populations of people. We want to create categories. Number two, we want to create measurables. So what are we measuring? What are the things that are important to measure specifically? And then number three is we want to create tracking, right? So we want to create categories or populations of people. When it comes to the flow, we want to be able to create the measurables, like what are the things that matter the most, right? Because what you measure, you can manage. What you measure tends to grow, right? And our goal is to grow your business. Your business is growing. And then you can measure, but if you're not tracking, that's like the delegation methodology where you train, you trust, but you verify, right? So you're verifying this. So tracking gives you what we call the visibility, and then there's an accountability for this. So we want to talk about some of the elements of that here now, Dr. Stephen. This is so that as we look at your business, if I said, okay, let's look at your marketing business, let's look at the activity that's going on right now for your business from, what are you doing to generate leads? Who are the prospects right now? How many people are in there? Who are your leads right now? What's going on with those people? What are we measuring? What are we tracking? Like, I want to come into your business and have that conversation. We need to see that data. There's got to be data there. So Dr. Stephen, let's press into this, because again, this is a very practical discussion, but it needs to hit the ground.
Yeah, we're going to end up in numbers, metrics, KPIs, reporting systems, and meeting rhythms to create that accountability, right? So that's where traction lives, is when you have accountability. But first, let's get clarity. Let's go all the way up, super high level. I love where you started, where this is about a flow. A flow of what? It's the flow of a person on a journey, right? So there's two sides to this coin, right? So there's you could take the viewpoint of there's a process that we're going to follow, but then that becomes about us, right? So I love the perspective of, no, we're not the hero on the journey. The patient is the hero on the journey. This is actually their journey, and it's their flow through the journey, right? So if you start humanizing this and you just make it like, okay, so what, a person is in our community, ends up in our practice, goes through our conversion process, then becomes a patient. There's a journey that they're on. And if you think of it as this beautiful arc of a relationship, there's this end-to-end solution that we offer in chiropractic. Each step in their process needs to be documented, captured as SOP, and have a defined operational process inside of your practice, right? So it's like, all right, so I get it. There's a bunch of sick and suffering humans out there that are subluxated in my community and most likely don't know anything about chiropractic, but they're all looking for a healthcare solution, right? So 20% of people at any given time in your community are out there seeking a solution, right? So remember, the purpose of a business is to solve a problem for another person. So the purpose of your practice is to solve a problem for another person. So these people have health problems, health issues. They're out there seeking. You're doing marketing, right, to speak into that community, to speak into their listening. They're out there. We call them seekers at this point, and your market message hopefully lands on them, right? So your message resonates with them, right? So next thing you know, they're interested, they show interest, and they're listening, and then you ask them to take an action, right? So once you ask that person to take an action, those seekers that are all around you, as soon as that seeker takes the action of giving you their information in exchange for something, right? So there's a lead magnet, it's called, right? There's some type of giveaway, what have you. Something happens, they take an action where we actually capture their information, right? So we're capturing their name, their email, their phone number, or all of the above, right? We're capturing their information so that we can start speaking to them. We can start communicating with them. This is when they enter into what's considered a classic marketing funnel. At the top of the funnel, once they take an action step and they come across that first threshold, they go from being a seeker, just somebody out there in the community, somebody out there in the ether. They give you their contact information. They're now part of your list. They land on your prospect list, right? So you can now communicate with them. They're now considered a prospect, and that's the first official step in their journey.
Yeah, I love this, Dr. Steve. I love how we're breaking this down. I want to emphasize a point that you made, and this goes back to, heart, head, hands, feet, starting with the heart of the matter, which is that the perspective or the view of the CEO, which again, your role is always to go up on the perch and set and cast vision. Part of casting vision is giving perspective, okay? We want to give proper perspective, which is that this is about the patient's journey, the prospect's journey, the human being, let's call them a human being, their journey that they're on, and you making that journey remarkable for them. That's our job. Our job is to make it a remarkable journey. So we take that responsibility on as a business to organize it that way so that it is a remarkable journey, but it's their journey that they're on. And so we're tracking that. We do a good job in our business to do that. I think it's really important that it's not just for an individual or a community of people, it's for an individual. And I know that this is more of a philosophical moment, but I remember, seeing lots of volume in our practice. We see a lot of people, serve a lot of people every single day. And I remember the doctors always ask me, well, how are you able to see so many people? And it's a little bit crazy. I'm here. And I said, it's one person at a time, right? I'm with the person I'm with each and every time. And that's how I can see so many. So how are you able to serve so many people and they stay and they're referring, and how is that happening? How is it even possible? It's like, well, they have my undivided attention for the little bit of time that I have with them. It's fully present. And it's like each person, even in your lead campaign, should feel that there's some attention to them. Like they feel like them, you're paying attention to them, they're valued. Internally, we need to make them feel that. We need to think through that. So that's a really important part, Dr. Stephen, what you said. I think that's important for all of us to just say, yes, I understand that. And then I'm going to some of the classics. How do we capture these leads? So I'm remembering we used to put drop boxes all around the community in restaurants and gyms and places we like to frequent. And people would put in their business card, or they could fill out a little slip of paper and pop it in to win a dinner with the doctor, for example. We used to use those. So that's just an example, very practical, maybe old school.
Yeah, that's totally old school, but old school is cool, right? And so now we can go back to external marketing. That'd be an example of external marketing. We may do something internally where we're asking for a name at a Better Results Faster workshop. Who do you know? Boom, that name is captured. Now that's the action that was taken. And they went from being a seeker out in the community, and our patient gave us their name. Now they become a prospect. They're on the prospects list. Or maybe we're on social media and we're doing a webinar on our immune boosting tips, and you can download this PDF, or click the link and give us your information. We'll send you the video to Dr. Pete's favorite cervical spine stretches, or whatever it is, right? There's some level of exchange, and the way they pay for the value that you offered was they give you their contact information. Yes. So Dr. Pete, I want to help everybody with the visual. You made mention we're giving away an infographic. It may help you to open that up, take a look at it, or print it out. I suggest you print it out, make a poster, stick it on your wall, because what a great way to communicate to your team. What we're talking about is this simple and elegant business model called the remarkable Hourglass business model. Now, everybody knows what a marketing funnel looks like, right? So picture a marketing funnel at the top and then a reverse funnel at the bottom. That's the hourglass. And the bigger idea here is that, people come through your marketing process, then they go through your conversion, which is that narrow neck of the hourglass. And when they go through your conversion process and convert, they begin their initial intensive care, then their corrective care, and then they get into wellness care and maintenance care at the broad base of that hourglass on the bottom, which of course, as an hourglass works, that's the largest volume area, right? So there's the largest volume area of that hourglass. So that's where your job is, to collect as many ideal patients, people under wellness care, in the base of that hourglass, right? So you can see that simple and elegant representation of what is otherwise a fairly complex business system, right? So here we go. We're at the top of the funnel again. People are in the community looking for help. We put value out into the community. Something of relevance makes a person say, wow, they're talking about me, and that's the thing I'm trying to get rid of, and now's the time. They click the link, they give you their information, and now they're on your prospects list. Okay, so now they're prospects. Now our job is to begin nurturing those prospects and convert that prospect into a lead. Now, you use the expression, when I'm caring for my patients, I have this present time consciousness that makes them feel like they're the only one in the world. Well, take that word caring and turn that into nurturing in the marketing experience, right? So this is how you're caring for this human being. You're nurturing them, right? So there's a nurturing sequence of communications that happens so that that person feels like, wow, I think I've found my solution, and they schedule their first appointment, right? So they schedule what we call day one in the new patient conversion process. So they go from prospect to lead once they've crossed the threshold of taking the action of scheduling their day one appointment. Now they're on your schedule book and they are moving from prospect list to lead list.
I love this. I love how, like you talk about the elegance of it, because sometimes it can feel not elegant. It can feel theoretical.
Clunky.
It actually can be clunky. I mean, think of all the language that we could use around this, blind, so we actually are going to make this very practical. So we've got to be able to start organizing each one of the people into a grouping or category or segment in the journey as they journey through. So you have your prospect, they become the lead, like Dr. Stephen, you said, when they actually schedule that appointment. That's definition. So one of the things that we know that you have to do as a business is you have to define your terms. And we want to encourage you to do that. So you can take this hourglass image and you can actually take it, and we're going to give you, there's room on the side, you can actually define the terms for your practice. We recommend, obviously our definitions we feel like are pretty rock solid, but you can do that. So then they go from being a lead. What has to happen then, Dr. Stephen, for them to go from a lead to becoming the next level, which is a new patient, okay? So a new patient, there are multiple categories of this. So the lead who books in an appointment, that's the lead, they're on your schedule. They, as we know, with some marketing, don't always show up, right? So that's why there's another measure, and that is new patient. And we've broken this down to a few categories. There's new patient number one, or new patient one, which is they completed their day one. They completed their new patient appointment. That would be a categorization where you can define that term. Then there is a new patient two, right? Which is they completed their report of findings on their second visit, okay? So that would be another way to segment. So now we've got new patient broken down into 1 and 2. And then there's the third, which is NP, or new patient C, or conversion, which is this new patient has actually converted to or committed to the care recommendations, the doctor's recommendations for care. Okay, so now we can actually segment and break down even the flow of, so from going from a lead to a new patient, that's a KPI, that's an area we need to focus on in business and get to do a better job of that. And then there's the new patient who comes in, who actually successfully journeys through the process. They came in and achieved NP1, check. They achieved NP2, check. And we know sometimes there's a breakdown between 1 and 2. And then NPC, which is they actually did all that. So that's actually how we would break this down as an example. So you as a business, as a CEO, we need to create some organization around this, and you should have that definition for yourself. You're going to see what we have organized, and that's just the top part of the hourglass. Then there's the whole bottom part, Dr. Steve, there's a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, so I love this graphic because it is simple and elegant, and it helps us overcome our curse of knowledge as the CEOs and the experienced, leader of your business. You can imagine you've got some team members that have been with you 16 years, maybe 16 months, maybe 16 days, right? So you're speaking way all over their head. And this image will allow you to very simply and elegantly explain to your team, this is the journey of the patient, the human being that comes into our office. So they can see this thing from a perspective of 30,000 feet, and they understand their journey, and it totally makes sense when you look at it. And then you can also get into their head and say, and each of these strata, each one, this population of people, it's like a striated hourglass, picture like almost like different colored sands inside of an hourglass. Each one of these populations are measurable. So there's a key performance indicator, there's a metric. Each one of those thresholds that they cross is a conversion and is there for another KPI that can be measured. Next thing you know, you can take this highly complex concept of, man, what matters gets measured, and you can't master what you don't measure. And, in order to know your business and grow your business, you've got to be able to measure your business. Like all these KPIs that end up on scorecards and scoreboards and vital signs, man, they could quickly fall on deaf ears because they'll tune you out. They're like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? This simple, elegant solution to communicate to your team. This is what the lead flow looks like in our business. This is what the patient's journey looks like, so that we can come alongside of these people and shepherd them along their journey back to greater health. It's the remarkable business model. It's the remarkable hourglass business model. Click the link down below. You can print this up, hang it up in your war room, in your back office, so that you can communicate to your team, help them get greater clarity, and engage them and recruit them into the mission of helping more people. All right, Doc, you know the story. What the world needs today, what the world needs right now is chiropractic. And what chiropractic needs today is more successful chiropractors.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner, dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy. All right, remarkable CEO podcast people. I am thrilled to be in the studio today with my friend Adriana from Chiro Matchmakers. And I was trying to calculate how many emails I've sent to you over the years, introducing you to different doctors who are searching for that next great team member. And you guys are amazing at helping chiropractors do that. And I'm thrilled to have you on our podcast as a guest today. And I'm glad I get to interview you today, Adriana, because I know you've done just such an amazing work with helping doctors build remarkable teams. And I know your commitment. So you are a success partner of the Remarkable Practice, and that is why you're here with me today. So again, I just want to tell you, thank you for being a part of helping our doctors help more people and taking the time today to meet with me. First thing I want to do is just have a little, meet and greet. So if you would tell our audience who you are and who you are as part of Chiro Matchmakers, maybe a little bit how you got to this point. I think it'd be awesome for people to get to know you a little bit.
Of course. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be a part of your podcast. At this point, I think we have exchanged hundreds and hundreds of emails. So it is amazing when we can help each other, help more people. My name is Adriana Loya. I am the Director of Placement for Chiro Matchmakers. I started as a front desk CA over 13 years ago. I completely fell in love with chiropractic and saw the benefits in myself and in my family. Then I became the office manager. And then at a point, I was running several chiropractic offices in New Mexico. And then, after a few years doing that, we opened up Chiro Matchmakers out of our own need to find the right person for the positions that we had available. And then mainly from our own pain points of losing associates, of, losing great relationships with people that we really loved and cared for, but they were just not the person for the position that we had. And so, through learning and a lot of pain, we opened up the company so that we could help more people.
I love it. And you guys are doing it. And I love that you're speaking from a place of scar tissue. You talked about the pain. And I love that your journey started, as you talked about, right at the front desk, and you ascended into the position of an office manager. Here you are managing multiple clinics and dealing with the pain points. So I love that you can relate so much with the docs who are listening to this right now. And again, I greatly appreciate the work that you do. In the Remarkable Practice, Remarkable CEO, we teach the concept of the 4 rights. You got to get the right person in the right role, doing the right work the right way. And CMM helps doctors do that. Can you share with us a little bit about, we talk about how every business exists to solve a problem for another person. And the other person for us is a chiropractor, right? Or a doctor who's an owner looking to build their team, or a doctor who's looking to join a team. Can you talk a little bit about the specific problems that you would say we solve at CMM, Chiro Matchmakers? How would you respond to that?
Yeah, so most businesses' problems are people problems, right? Yeah. If you don't have the right team in place, you cannot achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So our business is dedicated to helping chiropractors, either business owners that are looking to expand, grow their team, hire the right person so that they can put them in the right seat in the bus so that they can do amazing things for the company. And we also help doctors that are looking to join an established, thriving team. Maybe doctors that, they're passionate about being doctors, they want to take care of patients, but they don't really want to run a business. Or maybe they don't have the experience to run a business. So what we do is we match businesses with talent, whether it's an associate, it's a CA, an office manager, a marketing person, and we match them in a way that ensures that their relationship is going to be successful because the person is going to be naturally hardwired for the type of the job that they're going to take on that practice. And so it's amazing to see how we are actually helping those businesses solve their people problems.
It's interesting. I love the language that you use, matchmaking and connecting, the talent with the opportunity, getting the right opportunity and the right talent to come together. I think that's a really important concept. And I like to just talk about that a little bit, because I think a lot of times, as business owners, maybe we've had, maybe even like from your experience, we've had failure in that. Like we've tried to hire in the past, it just hasn't worked out. So we kind of get, disenfranchised with the whole process, and we just give up, or we just get frustrated with the whole thing. And it's like, well, what can you guys do that we don't do? Can you talk a little bit about how you do the matchmaking? Because I think that element is just one of the things that sets you guys apart, that just makes it truly a remarkable business.
Yeah, so what we do is we take a look at the practice style, practice culture, the techniques that the doctor needs to be able to do in the office when talking about matching associates. We also take a look at patient approach. We match candidates on a behavioral standpoint. So let me give you a very simple example. If a practice is looking for a doctor that is able to help them with new patient attraction, new patient conversion, maybe do marketing for them, well, that requires a very special type of person that can do really well in that type of job description. And a lot of times as business owners, we make the mistake of trying to make somebody fit into a job description that really goes against how they're naturally hardwired, and they don't do well. And we get frustrated, they get frustrated, then the relationship goes south pretty quickly. And we either end up firing them or they quit on us because they're frustrated within that position. So you need to make sure that you have a very clear job description. What are the main goals for the position? And then you need to find the person that actually matches on a behavioral standpoint so that they're not having to force themselves to do something that they're just really not comfortable with. And so our process goes in depth into what are the practice dynamics? What are the goals for this new hire? Are they going to be an associate, for a lifetime? Do they need somebody that can help them grow and expand the business? Or do they need somebody that can help them maintain the adjustments and the patients that they already have in the practice? And so we look at all of those aspects, and then we go find those people that actually fit that innately hardwired type of personality.
So what you're basically saying, if I'm listening to this and I'm, let's say a CEO and I'm an owner and I'm looking to maybe bring in some talent in the next 3 to 6 months, and you're telling me that you will actually help me understand the type of business and practice that I have so that I can clearly create and identify the role that I'm looking for, so that then you can help me find that right fit for that role? Because I think a lot of doctors maybe don't know how to even do that. Like, how do I just describe and determine what the role might be that I need? Are you saying that your organization helps us even do that part as well?
Definitely. That is a huge portion of our process. Is first we want to understand you so that we can help you. And sometimes, like you said, business owners, they're so busy running their practices and they know that they need extra help, but they don't really know where they want to go with this. So a lot of what we do is sit down with that practice owner and really help them understand their goals in practice, even if they have an exit strategy and what they want this new person to be able to do in their practice. And then we help them find it.
Man, that's amazing. And then obviously from the talent side, thinking about the talent coming in, you talked about how 95% of our problems are people problems. And, we know that I think somewhere in the ballpark of 67% of, associate doctor relationships end badly. In other words, they fail. We want to avoid that. And I know that the track record that Chiro Matchmakers has is significantly higher than that, which is amazing. So you're saying that as a talent coming in, they also have the opportunity to assess and analyze themselves. You're able to assess the talent and say, okay, so I'm clear now on my job description and the role that I have and the functions of that role and what the outcomes are that we want that role to create. Now I can actually also have clarity on is this person the right fit for that? So it's not just about you getting clear as the owner on what it is that you need. It's also you getting clear on who it is that's coming in and seeing, do they actually fit? And that's a huge part of what you do, correct?
Yeah, 100%. And we also help the talent. We help associate doctors really understand their own practice style, their own goals, what type of practice they want to join. Because a lot of times what happens is, the associate, the talent is looking for a position and they join a practice that maybe is not the best fit for their goals in practice. And then the relationship doesn't work out. So we also do a lot of coaching and mentoring with the talent to help build them up and help them understand, okay, this is the type of practice that I want to join. And then if we have that practice, then we get them connected.
I mean, so if you're listening to this and you're the owner, I mean, this is just huge. But if you're also considering yourself as, let's say, the talent who's looking to find a right fit, it's amazing. So they, obviously you're going to want to be connected with an organization like CMM. So you're not just trying to, wing it and figure it out on your own. I mean, get connected with an organization that can actually help you find the right fit for yourself. That's huge. I mean, I know that years ago when I was hiring a bunch of associates, and even years and years before that, when I was an associate, none of this even existed. It was just, you just tried to, kind of hope in a prayer that's going to work out, and that was, how a lot of us, I think, walked through it, and it wasn't pretty for many people. So, we talk a lot in this program and the Remarkable CEO podcast here about the limited resources that we have as humans and as leaders, and how, a CEO will leverage their money to buy someone else's time, energy, and focus so they can continue to grow and scale their business and carve out maybe just a little bit more time. So a lot of the owners who are listening to this are very, very busy. Like you said, they're over leveraged. They don't, the time is not on their side. I mean, they're really just trying to just grab a little bit more here and there. And so this is an issue. And so we talk a lot about leverage. So what does it look like as a business owner for myself to leverage an organization such as yours? Like what does that look like for us to do that?
It gives you so much more time freedom. Imagine needing to hire a CA or an associate and you're having to sort through hundreds of resumes, post your own ads, do your initial rounds of interviews. I mean, the doctor should spend their time doing what they do best, which is being a doctor and not being a recruiter, right? Doctors went to school to be chiropractors. A lot of them are amazing business owners and they did not go to school to be recruiters. So it is definitely something that needs to be outsourced, something that can be done by somebody else, and you can utilize your time better in other areas that are actually producing you a lot of money. And so, what we do is we take the process completely out of the doctor's hands so that they can focus on what they need to focus. And then once we have people that match all the criteria that they are looking for, then we present them to them. And then it's pretty easy for them to go through the next round of interviews and then choose who they want to hire, instead of the business owner having to do all of the groundwork and the data sifting. I mean, it's a crazy amount of time that it takes to sort through so many candidates.
And I'll speak to the loneliness. Like it feels very lonely and overwhelming and daunting to just even think about hiring. And a lot of people just say, I don't even want to worry about that. And they just settle for, well, I guess I'll just stay kind of at this stage in my practice. And,
Right.
with Chiro Matchmakers, it seems like, hey, you've got a partner now. You're not alone. Like, we're on your team. You're hiring us. We're actually on your team as a recruiter. And we're not going to send you somebody unless, it fits the criteria that we've determined together. And then that enables me to know, like, hey, I can stay focusing on my current team and my current business and building that, while on the other side, your team is working on finding us the next right fit for the positions that we have available. That's just awesome. That's leverage, folks. You're speaking into our listening, Adriana. You are for sure doing that. And we love, again, that we get to be a part of helping our doctors help more people by using leverage and leveraging Chiro Matchmakers. So last question I have for you, bonus question. How do our listeners get in contact with you? What's the best way to do that?
So our website is www.chiromatchmakers.com. My name is Adriana at chiromatchmakers.com.
Awesome. All right, crew. So another incredible podcast episode and an incredible interview with Adriana from Chiro Matchmakers. You heard it said here. If you're looking to grow your team and build that remarkable team, which again, to have a remarkable business, you got to have a remarkable team. Chiro Matchmakers is here to help you. Again, we're so grateful for you being a success partner with us and being a part of our podcast and making our podcast more awesome and amazing. For all of you listeners, thank you for joining us this week. And we look forward to picking up with our next episode next week. Until then, God bless.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic. And what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.